Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Largest increase in productivity since 1971. At what cost analysis? http ntvforex.com News ID FAC2BE94 2022 0346 AM. Productivity jumped 10.1% in the second quarter, the most since the first quarter of 1971. However, the details are more than a bit unsettling. Productivity vs output disaster. Inquiring minds are diving into the BLS productivity and costs report for the second quarter of 2020. BLS charts on productivity. Good news and horrible news. Good news: the BLS notes that the 10.1% increase in non-farm business sector labor productivity in the second quarter of 2020 is the largest quarterly increase since the first quarter of 1971, when output per hour increased 12.3%. Horrible news: NBSP output decreased 37.1% and hours worked decreased 42.9%. NBSP hours worked decreased more than output, so productivity rose. Hooray! Unit labor costs in the non-farm business sector increased at an annual rate of 9.0% in the second quarter of 2020, as a 20.0% increase in hourly compensation outpaced the 10.1% increase in productivity. Unit labor costs increased 9.6% in the first quarter of 2020, and 4.9% over the last 4 quarters. The 20.0% increase in hourly compensation in the second quarter of 2020 was the largest increase in the series, which begins in 1947. Also, the labor share, defined as the percentage of current dollar output that accrues to workers in the form of compensation, increased to 59.8% in the second quarter of 2020, the highest level since the fourth quarter of 2008, 60.1%. NBSP. This sort of sounds like good news, assuming you are not an employer until you understand what it means. NBSP compensation reflects higher paid employees working from home, while lower paid employees did not work many, if any, hours. Manufacturing disaster. In contrast to overall productivity up 10.1%, manufacturing productivity dropped 14.6% annual rate in the second quarter of 2020, as output fell 47.0% and hours worked dropped 38.0%. NBSP. These were the largest NBSP quarterly declines in each of these series, which begin with data for 1987. Long-term productivity vs output. Those charts put a much-needed perspective on this alleged jump in productivity. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors.